Welcome to Full Metal RPG. I'm Richie Buzzkill, and tonight I've got a man who has journeyed a long way there and back from Indianapolis back to Texas, I think. Scott, Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. And yes, Indianapolis to Texas, just journeyed back.
So you've been to the big Gen Con. Who are you, and what were you up to at Gen Con?
I'm Scott. I write RPGs. I own a company, or I co-own a company called Storywood Games. We've released a couple of game modules and through Kickstarter, and we've got one Kickstarter going on right now. But I was up in Gen Con, just kind of enjoying it. I go to Gen Con for the last 5 or 6 of them, so it's an event that I do not. once I went once, I have not wanted to miss since. And I was playing some Merc board, getting some of our recent Kickstarter delivery content on a game table at Gen Con, and then I was just there meeting people, going to a few panels, learning more industry stuff. That's about it.
Well, that sounds amazing, but you're underselling yourself here. So let me okay, so like I played in at least one of your, you ran one of your modules for us when we were doing the salt marshes, the West Marches, Morkborg last summer.
Yes,
that was
a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. And boy, you should, if you're interested in a tight adventure that's got some real creepy shit in it, you should definitely pick up. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the adventure, and I apologize. I'm a terrible host.
No, it's okay. That was Psalms 4.1. That was the name of that one.
Yes. So you should pick that up. It's a Morkborg module. You should pick that up. There was some real, especially towards the end, some real like creepy shit. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. I think only one character went insane. I can't.
Oh yeah, I was maybe running around in the darkness.
Yes.
I put a fear mechanic in that particular game so that whenever everybody's light sources went out, that you had a chance of running around in a dungeon in a panic in the dark, and then losing yourself.
I mean, I think that acknowledges something that a lot of people don't acknowledge, which is real darkness is scary, is super scary. Like being in a place where you cannot see anything and go anywhere without, running into something that wants to eat you is scary, and you brought it, and we're better off for it. So really appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah. I try to, when I do the Merkborg thing, because Merkborg is such a simple system with not a whole lot of rules, but it's very playable. Usually when I create something for it, I like to throw in some kind of weird mechanic that people can like use in their games, just to kind of maybe add a little bit of extra fun to it. So
yeah, because like my character when I first started had like 2 hit points. So essentially the game at the very beginning was try to avoid anything. Just like sneezing would have killed me. So
a lot of people do that.
But as you go on, you get a little bit better. It's like never mind. There's a joke I'm thinking of from a show. Anyway, you just do a little bit better every time, and then eventually you're like, oh, I'm fairly competent. So only the stiffest of breezes will knock me over. Anyway, so
yeah.
You publish some Morkborg stuff, but you've also, with this latest Kickstarter, kind of stepped out into system stuff yourself.
Yeah, so this particular Kickstarter is for Zine Quest. It just grew a little bit bigger than a zine, so it's ended up becoming a book. But it is a system. It is its own thing. It's a D6 system. I am not the writer of it. It's just something that we are working with the writer to help put out. But us as a group, Storywood, it's going to be our first attempt of putting out an actual system of our own. So it's been a lot of fun.
And that the name of that Kickstarter is Hunters of the Occult.
Hunters of the Occult. Yes, Hunters of the Occult. It's Victorian age monster hunting. So kind of think like Van Helsing, maybe some, I don't know. You're kind of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in a way, a little bit. There's different. I don't know if you can kind of think of. Whenever I have seen it, it's always kind of the idea of. There's a lot of exploration in it in a way where these days it kind of gets taken away from us because you can't go explore the Antarctic and expect to have the same type of wonder of it in a way that you could have back in the 1800s where there was just no idea of what to expect when people would go to places that were kind of far off from civilization. So there's a lot of that inside of it where it kind of captures that wonder of exploration from that time period, as well as just the idea of trying to, fighting monsters around the world, but not having like communication very well, like underhand. So, a monster hunter that's in, Chicago in the 1800s might not know how to deal with a certain monster that somebody in Paris might know all about, kind of a thing, because there's no real good way of communication. So there's the whole idea of there being monster research in it as well. So people are, not only are they going out and finding these things, they are like recording the information that they find in these tomes or these codexes of monsters, and generally like regional type books where monster hunters are able to kind of pool their knowledge together. So that's kind of some of the setting stuff from it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of on the tin here. Hunters of the Occult, hunters of esoteric information. Mm-hmm. That then can be used, and that is because we all have these cell phones now, and we all, even in all the knowledge in the world has been collected. Like not having that knowledge and discovering new knowledge, and as players, like I think you were having some player characters had some knowledges built into them that allowed them to be those fonts and sources of information. Anyways,
yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun. It's on Kickstarter right now.
It is.
And normally, and you're thinking to yourself, listeners, that I said I don't do advertisements, but Scott's a good friend and he's good. He's a patron. That's helpful too.
I am, yeah.
But he
that wasn't the reason I asked to be on the show.
No, it is not. I'm trying to help you. But I'm just telling the listener, I think this looks really cool. So, it's not why he's here, but it helps.
I appreciate that, Richard. Thank you.
So
but why are we really here, Richard? Why are we here to talk about?
Well, we're going to, you were just at Gen Con. And
yes.
If I recall correctly, you were nominated for an
Yes.
Ennie.
Well, not me personally, but yes.
One of your products was nominated for an Ennie.
A project that I worked on, yes.
Definitely. You worked on.
Yeah.
And, in role-playing games, there are very few awards. And I think as far as I can tell, at least the awards most people know of, the Ennies and the Diana Jones are like the two that people know of. Because they occur at Gen Con, I think that's why people know of them. And everybody kind of looks forward to them. And we wanted to kind of go, let's look behind the curtain a little bit as to what kind of some of that, but also just to talk about awards as to, should we have awards in role-playing games? Should we not? What kind of awards? Some discussion about that sort of thing. So that's why we're really here, because we wanted to, it got kind of, we were talking about the Ennies after the nominations were released on the Discord. And, Scott, you were saying that you're like, oh man, I didn't realize that these were contentious. Because, of course, our Discord is contentious about the friendliest people in the world, but there are differing opinions on there, which is great. I love it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Maybe I should have done more research, because I didn't even know what that second award was. What would you call it? The Diana Jones? The
Diana Jones Award. It's kind of a singular award. It has, I think it's been kind of gone to a... it's sort of, and I'm going to screw this up because I'm not looking at a page of any kind, but from what I understand, it's kind of like the We're Progressing Award. This is progress this year. This is the most important progress this year in role-playing games. I do know that they did lose the award in the mail, and I was wondering if that, because it was actually inside the award was a burned copy of the Indiana Jones game from the 1980s in the original award. And they lost it in the mail because somebody didn't insure it, and it's gone now. So I'm not certain what the award looks like now, but it was essentially like, this game was so bad that we burned it and is now part of this award. I'm very bad because I'm not super up on the details of that award, but it is award that every year I hear people go, and this is kind of more in the, I don't think it's the indie space. I think it's all the spaces, but those are the kind of tend to be more in the progressive space. Do I hear about this award? So,
yeah. Okay. I'll have to look it up. It's interesting. But yeah, so I found out that the project that I was that I had worked on was nominated for an Ennie, and I went to go and share the news, and I found people talking about the Ennies, and there was definitely some debate going on, and to be honest with you, it was a little deflating to see it, but at the same time I was like, you know what? That sounds like something I would really love to talk about. Like, what is the validity, I guess, of the Ennies or just the awards? Like, are they necessary? Do they need it? Is there enough categories? Is the voting process up to snuff? So, I was kind of excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So, like, this is sort of, and the Ennies, and it started as kind of an offshoot from EN World. EN World, and it's still a big forum, and it's still kind of a news site. They kind of started these awards, and it was spun off in, like, I think 2019, I think is when the original people sold it off.
Okay.
And at least currently, what happens is you have to submit your own work, whether it is physical or digital, to them, to their judges, and then those get kind of pared down to a voting slate for each category, and then the public votes on those slates for each category.
Yes. Yeah. That's how it works.
So it is a bit of a interesting in the fact that the judges filter it, and then it's sort of a People's Choice Award.
Yeah. So I mean, with that being said, to me, because I always considered it like a People's Choice Award, which a People's Choice Award ends up becoming just a popularity contest.
Right.
And if the larger the fan base you have, the more the probability for you being the winner goes up. But, Yeah, but you also have that those judges that kind of filter things and pick the things that they think that should be it. I guess some of the some of the criticism I guess I've seen on that part is that a lot of people feel that the judges are just kind of random people that don't really know what they're doing. But I don't know if that's really true or not.
I feel like I feel like there are people in the industry that maybe be behind the scenes a little bit more. Like they're not as far as I can tell, I mean, and this is just the current year, is they're not like, and I think in the past they might have been more famous designers, as it were. But I think this year I'm looking at those are the judge candidates. Here's the 2022 judges. Yeah, I feel like that they are people that are willing to do, they're fans of RPGs that are willing to do the work.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the big things. Like, from what I can see, hundreds and hundreds of people submit things for this.
Yes.
It
is a thankless job. I almost guarantee you that it is a lot of work to put this on. As someone that does a show by themselves, like, I feel them. I get it.
Yeah. And then, it takes a while for things to get submitted. And then the amount of time that they have to look at everything is pretty short from what I can tell. Maybe just a month or two. But to be able to get through hundreds of books and try to whittle down all those submissions into, what is it? Per category is what? Five or
I think it was
five submissions per category.
Yeah, 5 to 6. Some of them are a little bit more, some of them are a little less. And yeah, I mean, I think they have April to June. I think this June is when basically a month and a half from what I can tell to get through all that. And that is just a Herculean task. And I can appreciate anybody that can dedicate that much time to such an endeavor. Wow. But in the past, what my general criticism in the past has been is it's basically been the Paizo thing, the WotC thing, maybe the Chaosium thing. These are 5 things you've heard of. This year, it wasn't, I mean, there was some of those things, but it wasn't like the best game or the best product did not include a WotC product. Which is great because, I mean, I think other games need more air. Like, I think that, WotC doesn't need any awards. So, and I think that this year was a little different than in past years when it's been like, oh, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one. I've heard of all these things. I haven't necessarily read them. This year was a bit more, having more interesting things going on is really kind of my point.
Yeah, I didn't see there being anything from any of the major studios.
Chaosium won a thing. I know that.
Well, it's actually not Chaosium that won it.
Oh.
It was the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society that won it.
The Cults of Cthulhu?
The Call of Cthulhu Classic prop set. So they created and the only reason I know this is because that was that thing was in a category that my thing was in and beat us out for it. But so I went and looked at it like, okay, what is this thing that beat us out? And it was for the Chaosium game, but it was like a book of props that you could use in your Call of Cthulhu game. So like letters or handouts that you could give to players. So, and I don't think any of it was like system based, right? So if you want to use it for other games, you can, but it's basically just like little Call of Cthulhu themed handouts that you can give to your players, which is cool. But yeah, and it was kind of funny what you say that too, is because I was going through Twitter after everything and kind of reading what people were saying about the winners. And, I saw a few people that were just like, hey, congratulations to all the non-corporate winners and such. So it kind of became a thing where in my head, I'm just like, well, is this isn't necessarily supposed to be an awards for just indie creators, right?
No, this is supposed to be awards for everything.
In general. Right. So I feel like, yeah, you definitely have companies like Paizo or WotC that they do, because at the end of the day, after you get through the first filter, it is a popularity contest.
Right.
And so those companies are going to pull the biggest potential voting group if they just start, if they push it. Because I'd have to sit there and say, like, a lot of times I forget, in the past, I would forget to go vote unless I saw somebody post, hey, go vote for my thing.
Right.
So then you end up going and you vote for their thing. And I think the cool thing about their voting system too is that you don't have to vote for everything. You can go to a specific category. You can vote for just one thing in that category and call it done. You don't have to sit there and vote for every single thing and pick something from every category or pick multiple things from every category. You can literally just go in, put one vote for one thing, and then say you're done. So, yeah. So anyway, I just kind of felt like the idea that, okay, well, I don't know if because there isn't a whole lot of other awards, I don't see anything wrong with the bigger studios submitting things. But I do have to say, I can feel for independent creators when they get to that point. If a Paizo thing or a WotC thing, gets past the filter, then yes, the chances are winning against that particular title is slim, especially if the company posts on social media that they're up for an award.
Well, and they used to do Publisher of the Year.
Yeah, and the winner this year, I have no idea who they were. I was
Right.
like, who is daring to press? I should probably look it up.
Yeah. Well, this is my point to you, in the fact that you should feel good about getting to where you got to because you got through the filter, but also and I haven't done it yet, but what I will tend to do is I will go through these nominations and look for guests or look for things I missed or podcasts I haven't listened to or, that sort of thing. So, this is kind of, yes, it's these 5 people's opinion of what they got submitted to. Cause to be honest, I always forget to submit the show. I just always forget this.
Have you never submitted the show at all?
We've never submitted the show. I feel
that's a mistake.
Yes, it is a mistake. And my good friend Nolan has sent me a calendar reminder for when the submissions are supposed to open for next year. So in likelihood, we will submit the show for next year, but I gotta keep the quality up for something to submit to these judges to see if they're interested in what we're doing here, and then see if there's enough people, if they get past that are willing to come and vote. And so that's the part that is, I think, most contentious, is the popular, it's the popular vote, right? So things that are known are probably going to get voted for more, because how much time do people really have to go through and be like, I'm taking this category very seriously. I'm going to read all of these things, right? Which would be really great for all those people in that category, right? Because they'd be like, oh, well, I just sold a copy, or at least I got a download from all this stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. And be honest with you, I don't take the time to go through and look at every single thing that there is to be able to vote for. And that's probably like a bad on me kind of a thing. Because I don't know, there's a lot of things in here that won awards, and I've only cursorily heard of them. Like, I have no idea. Like, the big winner this year was what? Thirsty Sword Lesbians, I believe. Like, best game of the year.
Let's see. Product of the year was Thirsty Sword Lesbians, yes. So,
yeah. And
and I know people are really, and they also got the best game was Thirsty Sword Lesbians. So they got the big golds. I've heard a lot about this game. I haven't played it. I know everybody that has played it has told me that they've had an amazing time.
I remember the Kickstarter being live and it doing really well. I believe it's an Evil Hat game.
It is.
So you also had a big fan base based off of Evil Hat, helping them with the voting and stuff like that. But the games that they were up against, like Root's huge. That's a big
and that's Magpie, and Magpie has a huge fan base, and it will be those things that get the gold and silver, because they do 2 awards. They do a gold and a silver in each category, but it's going to be the people that, for the big categories, it's definitely going to be the most known with the biggest audience is generally going to get there, unless somehow you have punctured through the atmosphere of socials or whatever.
But what I was kind of getting at, the fact is that, so Thirsty Sword Lesbians, I saw it on Kickstarter. I didn't back it. And then it wins product of the year, it wins game of the year against very stiff competition. So it can't just be the popularity of the publisher, right? That is what is leading to it.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that I think whoever can have the most, it will be the product. I mean, I really do believe that it will be the product, but you have to get over a certain, let's be honest. The name Thirsty Sword Lesbians is very sticky, and I was not making a pun. God damn it. Anyways, but it is one of those things where if you can, all the dominoes have got to be in the right places for you to flip it over and get the gold, right? Especially,
exactly. And the name alone, right? Yes, exactly. So if people are just going in there saying, "Oh, I don't know any of these. I've never played any of these games." Well, Thirsty Sword Lesbian sounds funny. Let me click on that. Or that sounds cool. Let me click on that. So a lot of it is like that. But I still feel that, because when you're walking through the vendor hall of Gen Con, if a game has won an Ennie in the past couple of years, the publishers brings the metal and drapes it over the product, so that when you're walking by, that was an Ennie winning product. And I think it probably helps them sell a lot of this stuff as well. Like, people are buying based off of that. And I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. I actually think, in a way, does Thirsty Sword Lesbians winning an award make me want to go give it a try? Yeah, I think it does. If I was to go into my friendly, if I was in my local game store and I saw a copy of Thirsty Sword Lesbians on it, just knowing in my back of my head that, hey, people pick that as the product of the year, maybe I should go ahead and take a look. So
right, and that actually, the product of the year category is way more stuff. There's a lot of this is 5, but there's 11 for product of the year, right? So Call of Cthulhu prop set, Colossal
second place.
Colossal, a solo RPG, which I think won another award somewhere. You got Dune from Adventures in the Imperium, the core rules. So it's Modifius. It's the Atreides version, which is the expensive leather-bound version.
Okay.
Jiangxi Blood and the Banquet Hall, which is Wet Ink Games. What Up, Wet Ink Games? That's the Chinese family restaurant being plagued by the Chinese vampire game.
Okay.
Odd Jobs, which I don't even know anything about. Repugnant or Pugilist Repugnant, which is Exalted Funeral. It's the big Morkborg adventure on a LP.
Yeah, I'll be honestly going up against that. I mean, that has a rabid fan base,
Yes.
right? So that's cool.
Root, which is Magpie Games RPG. The Troubleshooters by Helgast. Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and Uncaged a Goddess, which is a 5e adventure. So that's actually, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty diverse product of the year category, right? And I feel like that's a pretty good job of selecting things that are not just like, oh, it's the new WotC thing and the new Piezo thing, and So I think it is better than it was in the past. Let me just say that again.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I can't quite remember. I do remember seeing some Paizo stuff in the past. I don't know if I've ever seen a WotC thing. I'm sure they have been.
Oh yeah.
There.
No, and
I mean, it comes to the point now: does WotC even care about winning this award?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't. See, that's the thing is, I don't. It's too big to fail, or they don't care, whatever. I don't really care about WotC, what they're doing anymore, because they're just going to do it and it's going to sell one way or the other.
Sure.
But I think as to awards, I think there are kind of two different kinds of award type giving awards. You've got the People's Choice Award, which is kind of the Ennies model, right? Where you have people vote for it. And then you have a group of people to come together and say, we are Full Metal RPG. We are going to give the award for the most disgusting adventure. And it was this one. Mm-hmm. And the game you should never play this year, the Razzies or whatever you want to call it from back in the day. And sure. you have an organization that gives out awards. And that can be quite prestigious. You've got like the not the Academy, but like other, because the Academy is the professionals voting for their thing, right? So I think Gamma does this. Gamma has awards, if I recall correctly, which is the Game Makers Association. I can't remember if the first A is another word or not, but I think it's just Game Makers Association. I think they give out awards as well, but that is very much the professional organization giving out awards to the members of that organization.
Yeah, same thing with like the SAG awards, like the Screen Actors Guild, or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe that's what we need. We need a game makers guild, a gag.
I'm gagging here. Okay.
Yeah, like GMG awards or whatever. But yeah, so when I think, you know what? Here's the thing. People can be upset because they're like, oh, it's a popularity contest and these judges don't know what they're doing when they filter through things. But, even if you were to do the awards where it was just, just industry people that were deciding who would be the filter, and then, maybe a larger pool of just industry people would be the voters, like, because I think that's how the Oscars is. There's like they have a tight group of people who pick the nominees, and then a slightly broader but still curated group of people who vote for the final winner. You'd still have people that didn't like who was chosen. I think you would actually, by doing that, you would actually cut out a lot of the smaller stuff that, might be brought in by some of the judges for the Ennies. So
yeah, I think having neutral parties do the judging, or non-publishers do the choosing, does lend itself to being, because to me, I would much rather almost have like, okay, all the nominees get a bronze Ennie, right? Mm-hmm. And then the People's Choice get the silver and the gold. Because I really think that if you got through that filter of of all that product, and it's they show all the stuff that gets submitted. It's on their website somewhere, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's massive. There is just a lot there. In some categories, in other categories, there's not, because, podcasters are very forgetful. But and Ken and Robin win the podcast award every other year. It's just kind of a running gag. So I think that there's room for well, I guess I could back up even further. In a classic Full Metal RPG maneuver, we're going to back up completely and ask the question, do we need awards? Is this something important to a hobby and industry to have awards?
Yeah, I think by human nature, we all like to be praised a little bit. But maybe, I mean, in a way, it can up people's gains. I know that, like, from Storywood, our art director, he's like, well, I don't care, he's just there to do the artwork. He doesn't pick the games or do any of the writing or anything, but he's just like, well, my goal is to make such a beautiful looking game that we win an Ennie, right? To him, he's like, that has been a driver for him to try to produce his best work that possible. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's not a bad thing. I don't think that it's a bad thing to celebrate the creation of our own creations and the creations of others within the industry. I don't see a problem with it at all.
Yeah. And I tend to agree, because look, there's a lot of stuff coming out every day. If you just peek at itch, you'll just be inundated. One day of itch releases would just have you reading for a year. It's the 1,000 monkeys on typewriters, let alone what comes out on drive-through, let alone what comes out on Kickstarter, let alone what comes out every day from independent publishers. They're just doing their thing, right? Mm-hmm. So having some filtering, and some of that filtering is, podcasters talking about, oh, I found this thing, I found that thing, I'm talking about this thing, and that can get some help people get traction, but also having people, an audience to talk to. And we were talking a little bit about the show before the show about, you need an audience. Like, the audience still needs to be there if you want to do something after a while. There is a point at which not having an audience is sort of soul crushing.
Yes.
And that can, so the awards are to not only lay an accolade across to someone that has done something really awesome, but it also raises them up and says, hey, you should look at this thing we think is really good. And then that's the nominees. And then in this case, the public says, oh, well, I love this thing that you filtered to. I'm going to vote for that. Right. So the filtering is really important. You know what? People talk about how good music used to be in the old days. I think that the vast majority of music produced has always sucked.
Sure.
Has always sucked, will always suck. It's only through the filtering of you people digging through crates and bringing that to the forefront do we find the really great stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, Metallica could have died in obscurity in San Francisco if nobody ever listened to them.
Yeah.
Right. They would just have died, heroin overdosed on the streets, or speed overdosed on the streets or whatever. And no one would ever have known about them. But because they got played by the right people or got listened to by the right people, they became the biggest act in the world. It's the same thing with these games. Like, if people don't people, some, they've already got an audience, so that's why they've got the awards. But there's some of these things like Colossal. I've never heard of it. It's a solo RPG.
So funny you just said that, because I clicked on it and it took me to the website and I was like, hey, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would maybe have heard about it later, but like, I don't know. Yeah. It's the thing is like, it's giving you a kind of an audience that you're not going to see normally. And I think that's really beneficial for everybody, which is why people are willing. And this is where we get into one of the other things that a lot of publishers have talked about. They don't like sending physical product. And you, in the old days, you had to send physical product. So, and it was all on you. So if you're like one person trying to eat your way, working on ramen, like sending one of your products that could make, 5 of your products, because you got to give it to one to each judge, like to somebody, it's really expensive for someone that's not doing, is not producing a lot of things. So
I know for the thing that I got nominated on, it wasn't just, it was actually a set of 5 things, and each of those things retail at like $40. So to send, several $100s worth of product to each one of the judges was kind of cost prohibitive.
Right.
And so instead they just sent one of the 5 to each of the judges. And from what I heard, they're like, oh, maybe we should have just, did it and sent it out. But, you never know. And so, and yeah, I can see where somebody who, has to send out their product, they might not even, and some of these Kickstarters that people do stuff, if it's a smaller one, even if it's really cool looking, like maybe they didn't even print enough to send to judges. You never know. Right.
Right.
And then they send a PDF instead. And then it's like, well, is the PDF getting judged as fairly as if I had sent a physical product?
Right. I mean, there's a game, it's called Orbital, that was a zine game. Mm-hmm. And in the PDF, it's a lovely looking game, but when you get the physical product, they had gold ink that was part of it was black paper with like gold ink on it. And it's a gorgeous little saddle stitched booklet. Mm-hmm. But that would totally throw you off because, and the fact is that, it was a limited press run anyways. So like things like that kind of probably suffer and maybe get left behind unless you're planning on doing something. But if you're only doing a limited press run anyways, people are going to know about it or they won't. Right. And so that doesn't necessarily, you're not going to keep, maybe you kept selling it. I don't know. But like, the limited booklets, it could be really hard for people to do that sort of thing. But
yeah. And I'm actually kind of proponent, because as you asked earlier, does the industry really need this award or whatever? I'm kind of the mind it needs more of these awards. Because the Ennies is very generic, right? It kind of goes all genres and stuff. And just kind of like some of the music awards where it's all genres, but it ends up kind of shifting a little bit more towards whatever's, a pop music or something like that, whatever's kind of popular. And I think you'll see the Ennies kind of shift kind of towards that direction too, being very diverse, but also, sometimes just picking up some of the more larger presses stuff. But then, there's awards for like genre specific in music. You have your country awards, your hip hop awards, your metal awards. Right. And I don't see why there couldn't be, more awards that focus in on maybe specific genres of games that then could take a broader look and give awards for the best of that particular thing. Like if you're like super into zines, maybe there should be a zines. Well, or if you're that kind of thing. I
was thinking the same thing, awards. But man, that's real hard. But yes, I agree. There should be more dedicated awards. I think more awards is good. Like I said, I know that someone was really excited about Full Metal RPG doing awards, and they were real in my inbox, Alan. Anyway, but I would, it's one of those things where it's like I'd love to do it, right? I'd love to do it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Like I was saying, those people, like, it's a lot of work. Now, could I do what I think it's there's a superhero, he was mentioning there's a specific superhero awards thing in England or whatever, where like it's just kind of like they just give out awards, and then your award is like they send you a PDF and you print it out and you cut it out yourself, kind of thing. Just kind of more just highlighting product in a certain category, like you're saying, like they were doing superheroes, doing something where these are the things I felt like were the biggest things of the year, or whatever would be, and how to do that, and all. It would be a very interesting exercise to give that a go. But I could definitely see we do. If you're super into OSR and you're not a chud, why isn't there I'm sure there's an OSR. I'm sure some OSR people give out some awards, but maybe Malcolm and Gabe should give out the Fortune Seekers and Gravediggers awards this year for their OSR products of the year. If you're super into a thing, you're probably way closer to giving out awards than somebody that's more of a generalist.
Yeah. Definitely. But I mean, I wouldn't say, because I think there was some thoughts around whether or not there's too many categories in the Ennies. And once again, I almost think that there's not enough categories in the Ennies, because they could be doing things like, best, like, I don't know, like
best supplement,
best. Well, they do best supplement, but I'm saying like best OSR game, best D20 game. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like best 5e, best not WotC 5e product, best PBTA game, best OSR game. I think it is sort of odd, because you look at the Oscars and a lot of other shows where they use the genre of the thing as the award category.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be a better way to organize it, because
best horror
whatever. Game of the year, best horror supplement, but that's why they're you got to limit it, right? Because you could go on forever, like it's a fractal.
The Oscars don't limit it.
Right.
Well, maybe they do, but
people tune out after the first half hour, so like
yeah, there you go.
Right. No one cares about best makeup,
Mostly like the Grammy Awards, everyone watches the TV show without realizing there was like 2 days worth of awards that were given out before that.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody cares about.
Yeah.
So
that's where you don't want to expand too much, but you don't want to, maybe it does feel very much like they just like you've got like just the generalist category when having, best best story game could be that'd be a whole controversy unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because but we often say we need the definitions of things, right? Because we don't have a ruling organization that kind of like sets definition. We don't have a Webster's dictionary of role playing, right? So we have to kind of come up with these things on our own. And so having an award for a certain thing and listing all of those things that are that thing to you can help define a category, right? Can help shape thought and bring interesting things to the forefront, which I think is what the point is. But
yeah.
Well, Yeah, I think there should be more awards. I think more categories, or at least more specializations. And I think that we have just seen the start of this, and I'm hoping that, you know, some people are listening and watching that out there to do some of this work, because it's a lot of work, like everything.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of. It's not me. I'm not stepping up to the plate to do it. That's for sure. So
Right. Well, people, you know, get at me. Maybe we can form a committee or something. Let me know. Anyways, very cool. Well, Scott, I think we talked about awards pretty well.
yeah, it was good talking to you about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because we're pretty much along the same kind of lines of thinking about this. So it wasn't much of a debate show, and I didn't really have any hot takes per se. So,
Well,
but I enjoyed talking about it.
I mean, hot takes. If you're doing all hot takes, you're doing a show of hot takes, you can burn yourself out pretty quickly. So, but I think if you got a hot take about awards, get at me on the email, fullmetalrpgbiz@gmail.com, or come on the Discord, and or talk about it, because I want to hear your thoughts, because I think that awards are important, but I also think that they're People's Choice Awards. Here's my hot take. People's Choice Awards are both the best and worst because they can be poisoned by block voters. So, and that's a whole nother, just see the sci-fi awards for the last few decade or so. So anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Out there, you're smart. I'm forgetting it. But also things that I get awards occasionally in the form of reviews for the show. And I got some last month. I talked about the end of the previous episode, but Scott was telling me that maybe we get pushed down a little bit by the algorithm because we're a bi-weekly published episodes, so we don't come up as often. So if you are on a platform that allows you to review the show, please review the show. And if I don't talk about it within a certain reasonable amount of time, or just after you review the show, just send it to me. Send me the review. If you want to do it anonymously, fine. I don't care. I don't care. You good, bad, or indifferent. Send me the show. Send me the review. And that's
I have to
like
go check to see. I have to go check to see if I've done a review before. Well, I can't remember if I have or not.
Well, I mean, we got a good number of reviews. So, but always more always gets us up in the robots. It's a battle between the reviews and the robots, and the robots want to keep those that don't have many reviews down. So let's fight the robots and review the show and review some of Scott's products. On drive-thru. I'm sure that he would be very appreciative if you did some reviews on drive-thru.
Yeah, I got 2 on drive-thru right now. So
sweet. Okay, so Scott, one more time.
Hunters of the Occult.
Hunters of the Occult on Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter now.
Right
now. Till the 8th. Not this Friday, but next Friday. So that is the 19th.
The 19th. So go check it out. The werewolf on the cover of the Kickstarter is badass. Pretty cool. It's totally worth it. You know, you should check it out. Anyway, so
thank you.
I really appreciate Scott coming on, being a good friend, being a patron. I appreciate the patrons. You are the best. I didn't take questions for this because it was kind of a quick thing after Gen Con, and everyone.
No, I became a patron because you helped me with my 3D printer when I bought it. Remember that? Yes. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Oh, yes. Man. Yeah, if you got 3D printing problems, I will help you with 3D printing problems. Come on to the Discord. We have a 3D printing channel. I am an engineer by trade, and I run 3D printers, so I kind of know a little bit about it, but it's a heck of a lot of fun, and it's like having a factory in my garage. So
my Prusa is broken right now. You want to help me fix it?
all right. Well, we can talk about that after this. We can diagnose that after this show. So, and then fullmetalrpg.com will get you a link to everything. Check out the merchandise. Check out, Insta. There's a link to the Discord, all that stuff. I really appreciate you. Keep on giving out awards because we all need them. Don't listen to those people that are like, everybody gets awards nowadays. Nobody gets awards. If you look at the statistics, there's 7 billion people and there's 10 awards. So have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Rah.